Presenting now is Dorcas Semilore Alade. She is an educator and postgraduate researcher based in Lagos. She holds a BA in music and is currently rounding up her master's degree at Mountaintop University, focusing on ethnomusicology. Her research interest has largely been influenced by the works of a few African musicologists and ethnomusicologists. Semilore collaborates with various music academies, including ours, Lore's class, to teach musical instruments and music theory, creating engaging, child-friendly lessons that make music accessible and fun. Over the past couple of months, she has presented on topics like AI in Nigerian education, contribution of women in Nigerian art music, and many more. She is passionate about culturally rooted, inclusive music education. She will be presenting Apala Becoming, Negotiating Tradition and Identity in Social and Religious Spaces.
Good evening, everyone. My lecturers, colleagues, thank you for having me. The release of Soyoyo album in 2000 marked a significant shift in the development of Apala music. Apala is the Yoruba new traditional music genre. It is rooted in Islamic musical practices of southwestern Nigeria. It developed as an offshoot of Were music and characterized by call and response styles, dundu drums, the agidigbo, and the agidigbo. Apala remained one of the most prominent Yoruba popular music genre until the death of its leading components, Ayinla Omowura in 1980 and Haruna Ishola in 1983. Musiliu Haruna Ishola, the son of Haruna Ishola, assumed responsibility for reintroducing Apala to the society after the death of his father, debunking claims that Apala had died with his father. Starting a band with the sons of his father's band members, they worked to revive Apala for 13 years. Before the release of Soyoyo, Musiliu Haruna Ishola had made several attempts to revive the genre, with most notable his 1996 project, Apala Resurrection. But unfortunately, it was unsuccessful. However, the turning point came in 2000 with the release of Soyoyo. The success of this album provoked a new interest in the genre. This renewed interest is what I explain as Apala Becoming. Rather than viewing Apala as a static musical tradition, I argue that it has entered a continuous process of transformation through new forms of assimilation across Nigeria's emerging genres and social spaces. In this presentation, I explore this process through three moments: the beginning of becoming, the religious negotiation, and the contemporary negotiation. To understand what I mean by Apala Becoming, I would like us to begin with a track on Soyoyo album. For me, Soyoyo is more than just a successful album. It represents a turning point in the history of Apala because it asks an important question: can a musical tradition remain relevant without losing its identity? Rather than preserving Apala exactly as it has always been, Musiliu presents the genre with something capable of responding to a changing society. In other words, Soyoyo is not simply about change. It is about negotiation. Negotiation between tradition and innovation, between memory and relevance, and between inheritance and new artistic identity. Let's listen to the short excerpt from the album.
Ìṣọ̀lá tó dẹ̀ mọ́ fèdè yò, Àìlámi Joshua ó ẹ jọ̀wọ́ ẹ bá mi dá àdúgbò lẹ̀ àlùjọ ní kí á mọ́ sá. Ojú wa ni ó ṣe balùwẹ̀ tó lóhùn mọ́tòdò ńlá ó. Ìṣọ̀lá tó lè mú ṣe lè yò. Ṣáma wò wọ́n níran ẹ̀yìn lọ́mọ adéyẹ ń jọyà ẹ̀ kò séwu fún wa rárá.
The significance of this excerpt is not simply what we hear, but what Musiliu is trying to achieve. When he sings, Baye ba ti ń yí, he recognizes that the world is changing and that Apala must also respond to those changes to remain relevant. The song, therefore, is not announcing the end of a tradition. Rather, it proposes a new future for the tradition. These excerpts can also be viewed on a personal level. When Musiliu sings, Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ adìyẹ tọ̀yà rẹ̀, kò séwu fún wa rárá, meaning a chick follows in the footsteps of his mother, so there is no danger. He acknowledges his father's musical legacy while confidently stepping out into his own identity by declaring himself the president of Apala music. He presents himself not simply as Aruna Ishola's son, but as an artist leading Apala into a new era. And this is why I describe So Yo-Yo as the beginning of Apala's becoming. It reimagines what Apala could be, and more importantly, where Apala could belong. Once Apala can be imagined beyond its earlier boundaries, it becomes possible for the genre to negotiate in new spaces. The first major space in which this becoming unfolded was in the Christian church. I first encountered this during a service at the Cathedral of St. James the Great in Ibadan, where the Gospel Apala group, Boys Olorun, was ministering. What struck me was not simply the performance. It was the fact that Apala had entered a space where many believed it did not belong. Yet, this negotiation was not without resistance. Rather than rejecting Apala because of its historical associations, artists such as Yomi Apala, Boys Olorun, and Zion Dwellers reimagined the genre as a medium for Christian worship and evangelism. Although they were criticized after ministrations, they remained convinced that Apala could communicate the Christian message through a musical language that was already familiar to the Yoruba audience. And therefore, Apala became a tool for the Christian ministry. What we have just witnessed is more than a musical performance. It is Apala functioning as a ministry. The church setting, the participation of the audience, and the art of worship demonstrated that Apala had moved beyond entertainment to become a medium of Christian worship. In this context, the genre is not stripped of its identity. Rather, it is assigned a new religious purpose. Yomi Apala explains that many Christians still loved Apala, but felt unable to listen to it because of its earlier association. His response was to make the genre available within the Christian context. Similarly, Faraomi Biala, the leader of Boys Olorun, the one we just saw on the screen, believed that Apala's familiarity among the Yoruba made it an effective tool for evangelism. For me, this is the second movement of Apala's becoming. The genre did not lose its identity. It negotiated a new religious space, demonstrating its ability to assimilate into a new social space while remaining culturally relevant. Apala's process of becoming, however, did not end in the Christian church. Having negotiated a new religious identity, the genre continued to assimilate into another important cultural space, the Nigerian contemporary popular music industry. And this brings me to the third movement of Apala's becoming, which I describe as contemporary negotiation. Unlike gospel Apala, where the primary object was Christian-centered, this phrase reflects Apala's negotiation with contemporary popular music. Here, artists such as Terry Apala, Qdot, and Rashid Apala retained recognizable elements of the tradition while infusing hip-hop, Afrobeat, and trap aesthetics. So I'm going to play an excerpt of one of the most popular Apala fusion that came out in the year 2024. Thank you. The excerpts that we have just listened to demonstrate one dimension of Apala's contemporary negotiation through collaboration and genre future. However, Apala's becoming extends beyond performances by artists such as Terry Apala. Another important development is the increase in the use of Apala as a sampled musical resource within contemporary popular music. Producers are no longer simply creating new Apala-inspired songs. They are returning to archival recordings, sampling classic performances, and incorporating them into contemporary productions. I'm going to play an example of what I just said. Thank you. Yeah, the Apala sample functions more as a nostalgic reference. It establishes continuity between the past and present, carrying the musical memory of the genre into a contemporary soundscape. Rather than preserving Apala as something to be remembered, producers actively reposition it within the living experiences of a new generation. Having traced these three moments, I argue that they are not isolated developments. Rather, they illustrate a continuous process of becoming. This process of becoming aligns with Stuart Hall's 1990 concepts of cultural identity. Hall argues that cultural identity is not something fixed or complete, but a continuous process of becoming as well as being. For all, identity is continually produced through history, culture, and social experience, social practices. It is never static, but constantly negotiated in response to changing dynamics. With Musiliu Haruna Ishola, we witness a revitalization of Apala through Soul Yo-Yo, where the genre begins to negotiate new possibilities by remaining rooted in tradition. Through artists like Boys Olorun, Apala enters Christian space, becoming a medium for worship and evangelism. With Terry Apala, we see the genre negotiating contemporary musical spaces through the fusion with hip-hop, Afrobeat, and trap, introducing Apala to a new generation of listeners. Who knows what the next style of Apala could be? A participant has suggested AI Apala, because we're in AI era. Together, these examples demonstrate that identity is continually produced through performance, context, and cultural practices. Rather than declining, Apala continues to transform as a living Yoruba musical genre. As I close, I return to Musiliu Arishna Ishola's words. Okpon Apala ti sun, finally. The music did not end, it just evolved. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Semilore. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you would have your questions to engage her with, and I'm sure she's poised and ready to answer your questions and to engage with you. So I don't know if we have any questions, any comments. Our online viewers, please also raise your hand if you have questions. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My own is just a comment, or let me say a contribution that will help the work more, because when you're talking about the emerging of Apala music, recently, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, when this filmmaker, Tunde Kelani, produced a movie titled Ayinla. Yeah, I think that's another huge contribution to the emerging of this style of music, this music kind of music, when he produced Ayinla using starring Lateef Adedimeji as the main character of the music. And I could remember that for that period of time, Ayinla Omora music, let me say Apala music in general, from different artists, were visited by Nigerians even across the country. So I'm just trying to bring this to your notice. Maybe while working on or while finalizing your work, you can just also use that as part of your material. Thank you.
Thank you, noted, sir.
Thank you for that contribution. Okay, Professor Mojola, please.
Yeah, I mean, you must be very proud of yourself. Another great improvement on what you did last year. Excellent, excellent. I'm going to ask the same question. What did you learn regarding ethnomusicological research through your experience of working on this project?
Okay, so what did I learn? The idea I had about ethnomusicology was the fact that it was just indigenous music. That's what I thought ethnomusicology was, like African indigenous music. We go to the village or go somewhere and then listen to that. Then I realized it was more. It was just simply studying our culture, our everyday life. We don't have to be somewhere. We are it already. We can study ourselves. And so during the process of this my project, I learned a lot. One major thing I learned was digital ethnography. Most of the time we're being told you have to go there. If you don't go to the field, you're not authentic. But the internet is enough field for us to work. And all we need to do is to interpret it, find the lens through which we can interpret whatever we see on the internet. So that's one major thing that I had learned during the course of my project. That's one thing that I learned. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Abe, please.
All right, thank you very much. That was a beautiful presentation. one will think someone in your generation will not go to music like Apala. So I simply want to ask, why the interest in that genre of music? And the other one is, I just want a little clarification. Boys Alone performance that you showed to us, was that in a church or in a concert? And finally, I would simply want to encourage you, as a Yoruba girl, I believe, to learn proper pronunciation of Yoruba words, and that will give you a very good edge. Even though while you were speaking, you corrected some, and please learn them very well. Okay, so what led you to this? And please just let's know. Thank you.
Okay, so my first experience with Apala music was in the church. I think I was in SS2, SS3, and it was very weird. I never knew what was going on, but I saw the elderly people in the church dancing, and they're like, okay. And then fast forward to my undergraduate studies at the Mountaintop University. That was when I really came in contact with Apala music. And so you brought about that question, that's when I learned that Apala music started as an Islamic musical tradition. And so how did something that started as Islamic, how did it get to the church? What was the process of it being in the church? And so that was what led to my research.
Okay, we have an online participant who wants to ask a question. Mr. Jumo Adenuga. Can you hear us?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Very wonderful presentation. And my question is about Apala's emergence. I know you attributed it to being rooted in Were music, which I think Professor Bodimojela also wrote about. But then I was wondering, do you know exactly what time, or like the time when Apala itself started in terms of the year the music started? Because I don't think I got that from your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, you did not get that from my presentation because the focus of my presentation was from 2000 to 2025. But according to some of the articles that I've read and scholars that I've read, they said Apala emerged in 1930. They started seeing traces of Apala in 1930 through singers like Ilorin Ajadi, and yes, so 1930.
Okay.
Ilori.
Don't worry,
Okay, it's Ilori.
you will get enough practice. Don't worry about it. You're fine. I'm concerned to give the mic to Dr. Faleye. Yeah, briefly, please, ma'am.
I just want to congratulate you. I was really fascinated by your line of thought, the presentation, the literature review, very good. Just to align with you and the last speaker there, learn the proper pronunciation. And you also exposed yourself by saying Ilori. Now, it's not just that. Even when you are using Yoruba words, and this goes to everybody, we are promoting African, indigenous, whatever. Let's tone mark Yoruba words. You can't write Egypt or go and write it as gone. The Englishish people will query you. So please learn to tone mark Yoruba words appropriately. That speaks a volume. Very good work. I love it.
Okay, finally, we would have... Oh, wow, I wanted us to... Okay. Thank you, Mr. Daku. Dr. Waje. Shemu Waje.
Okay. Semilore, very good. Well researched and well delivered talk. Very, very good. Well done. However, I have just like 2 or 3 things I would like to clarify. Mostly Aruna Ishola, while you were talking about him, I expected to have something specific, coming from you that, okay, when Motilio Aruna Ishola came up with his own brand or his own, brand of Apala music, his own forward, motion of Apala music, this was specifically what he did, which his father, Haruna Ishola, and Ayina Omaura did not have in their music. There was something specific that he added. But, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but I didn't get that from you. So that's well, in case maybe you didn't pay, I could, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. So that's number one. Number two.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Waja. Yes. I will need to cut you off because the next speaker is already waiting online. So, Semilore, please see Dr. Waje afterwards to continue this conversation.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Semilore, for that.